It's a semi-good day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today, another audio-only edition. I'm B-Ron. Alongside with me is Marsh this morning. Good morning, man. Happy Monday. How you doing?
What's up, Miran? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right. Good to have you here with me for another audio edition of the show this morning. Let's go ahead and let's jump right into it, shall we? So,
Let's do it.
yeah, so we got to start off with, of course, I think the biggest story out of the SWBA over the weekend, LeBron James becoming the first ever player to eclipse 40,000 points. That is an absolutely insane milestone for him to reach. I know there's some people out there who have their own issues about LeBron in terms of being a player, things he's accomplished, things he hasn't, that sort of thing. And this is always a touchy subject for a lot of people. But where does he rank for you personally, all time?
Well, I think he still sits to me behind Michael Jordan. I don't think that 40,000 points suddenly changes that for him. I think LeBron hitting 40,000 is as it's more of a testament to his longevity, which I don't think is in any doubt at
Mm-hmm.
any point. He's just been able to last much longer than anybody has ever before, particularly at an extremely high level. And I think not that we're going to see a lot more players like LeBron James that eclipse 40,000 points or by year 21 are still averaging 25 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there's a positive trend line in terms of longevity of star players, at least those that understand how to take care of themselves and understand the value that investing in their bodies at a much higher rate than ever's been done before, the payoffs for that. So LeBron getting to 40, I don't think is going to vault him over Michael Jordan in my book. I think they're both the same until, if LeBron grabs a couple more rings. But that's just kind of where I sit on it, but I'm not going to say like, well, 40,000. That's the point in
Yeah.
which I'm moving him past Michael Jordan. That's not the line that to me changes anything.
That's fair. That's fair. I understand. I feel the same way you do. I like LeBron a lot as a player. I really do. Um, but I do think for me, he also still sits behind Jordan in that regard. He's still. I want to say. I want to say for me, he's still top five. Top five, top seven, whatever
I
where we
think
want to
he's
put him.
you're talking LeBron right now is top seven.
Yeah. At least top five for me. For me
What do
personally.
you mean? You're saying that there's four guys that are better than LeBron James is not, and one of them's not Michael Jordan?
No. Yeah. Yeah. No. Jordan's on that list for me.
But
Jordan's on
you're
that
saying that
list.
LeBron is definitely top five, implying that he's not top two.
Yes.
So you think there's players that are still better than LeBron James?
Yeah, I would still say that there's players better than LeBron. Now this comes down again. This comes down to
Who?
who you've seen play, who you haven't seen play, that kind of thing. If we're talking about players who I've seen play, he's top two because it would be Jordan and
But
LeBron.
that's not the argument. That's not the
Right?
argument. The
No, yeah,
argument is there's
right.
players that you're saying are better than LeBron James in general. Who are you saying that's better than LeBron James?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no. Um, I had I. I would put guys like Jordan above LeBron.
Okay, we got that.
I would
We've agreed
put
that.
yeah, I would put somebody like Kobe above LeBron too.
You
For
would
for me, me
B-Ron.
me
You would
personally,
put Kobe ahead of LeBron James.
I would. Yeah,
Kobe Bryant would go ahead of LeBron James.
for me, yeah, yeah, he would. They're the
Who else are you
three,
putting? Because
those three guys there are that, like, 1A to 1C. You can kind of interchange them there. For me
so
personally,
Kobe Bryant, the guy that needed to have a number two guy to win a championship. Kobe Bryant, the guy that when he didn't have a number two guy, his teams were awful. That Kobe Bryant.
hmm
We're talking about the Kobe Bryant that's off court mentalities was so disruptive to his roster that teams didn't want to play for him anymore. That Kobe Bryant.
hmm hmm
That Kobe Bryant is better than LeBron James that's taken teams, including a Cavs team that was garbage, to 50 plus wins and eight straight NBA finals. That Kobe Bryant is better than that LeBron James.
you meant Marsh? You're swaying me. You're swaying me a little bit.
Shouldn't have to be what
You're
sways
swaying
you.
me.
I think there's a litany of other arguments we can
That's
make
fair.
that says it, but that's not the point of your original question. But there's no way on God's green earth that Kobe Bryant is better than LeBron James. That's just Kobe Bryant has to fight to get into the top five. I mean, better than LeBron. LeBron's the second best human to ever play the game of basketball.
Right,
And
right.
Kobe Bryant is not number. Kobe Bryant was the best competitor, maybe the second best competitor
Mm-hmm.
behind Michael Jordan, but Kobe
Mm-hmm.
Bryant was not the best basketball player. Kobe Bryant wasn't the playmaker that
At
LeBron
LeBron James.
James was.
Okay.
Kobe Bryant wasn't the complete versatile defender that LeBron James was. Kobe Bryant has more rings right now than
Yeah.
LeBron James does,
Yeah.
but he has that again. Those rings were so dependent on having Shaquille O'Neal. He wasn't even the best player
Right.
for the first
Right.
three of
Yeah.
them. Shaquille
Yeah.
O'Neal was,
Yeah.
and
It
you
it's
had to
it's
get a
it's
Pau Gasol into that roster.
Yeah, again, it's probably a little bit of revisionist history. Me being a little young at the time when Kobe was playing that sort of thing, that has him again higher there for me. But again, you're making a good argument for that, and I appreciate that. But uh, but yeah, so I do think that for me, um, LeBron is in that upper echelon of players for sure. I do think that the 40,000 points, like you said, is definitely a a moniker of longevity more so than anything else. If if you know Kobe or Jordan could have played for as long a period and as effectively, as um, LeBron has for as long as he has, then that might be a different story, obviously. But him being the first player to do it is wild to me. I don't think we'll see. I think we'll see more players do it. How much? How many more though? I'm not too sure though.
Well, I don't think anyone's getting to 40,000 points anytime soon.
Yeah.
That's not my point. My point is more so that you've got guys like Steph Curry, like LeBron James, like Kevin Durant that are playing well into their 30s at a very high level. And that to
Mhm.
me is what something I think that could be changing in the nearish future, particularly for these young stars that understand what it takes to get there now that there's been a road that has been paid for it. Steph Curry has been preparing, and LeBron James has been preparing for this point of their careers for the last 7 years, right?
Yep.
Steph Curry just turned 36. I think Kevin Durant's 36, is 35 or 36 as well. Obviously, LeBron James is, 39. These guys have been preparing for this moment since they were in their early 30s, if not sooner than that. We've all heard the $1 million price tag that LeBron James has put on his health, on his body, I think
Yeah.
is the terminology exactly. That I think is going to be a growing sentiment. Like to look at Shea Gilgeous-Alexander right now, to look at Luka Doncic, to say, okay, these guys are the future of the NBA.
Mhm.
Jason Tatum, we are going to put and invest the time and money into our physical bodies to be able to last longer. That I think is going to be what changes. Not that you're suddenly going to see this litany of mediocre
Right. Yeah.
players into their
Yeah.
mid 30s because LeBron James has obviously regressed, but also his regression point from let's say 35, his regression point was so damn high that even not being as good, he's still elite. That's how great of a basketball player these guys are. So for those top guys to be able to last, I think that's something that they're going to be seeing a lot more of just because there's more consciousness and more awareness of the benefits that that has into the long-term careers of these guys.
Yeah, 100%. 100% agree with you there in that regard. Well, look, from one history making moment to another one over the weekend as well, talking some SWFL, the Combine was over the weekend, and Texas wide receiver Xavier Worthy ran a 4.21 40, which sets the record for the fastest ever, breaking John Ross's record of 4.22 back in 2017. Thoughts on that first, Marsh?
Well, Chris Johnson is always going to be the fastest man in my book, 4.24. CJ2K let him run loose, was ahead of his time. I wish he had been if he'd played in the NFL 7 years later, we're talking about, a much longer career. Well, I'd hope a much longer career because of the things that he could probably have done out of the passing game. But that guy was
Mm-hmm.
a cheat code in Madden '09.
Absolutely, yeah.
You got him onto the edge and it was over.
That was it.
It was it was disgraceful for anybody else to be a 99 speed when Chris Johnson was a 99 speed. There was just they needed another category for Chris Johnson. That being said, I'll tell you two things. Running a straight line with compression shorts and a tank top on It's a little bit different than running routes and running with the football in your hands
I
and
can
pads on.
imagine.
So
Yeah.
I don't dive too much into the 40-yard dash hype. It's
Hmm.
sick. It's a sweet number, man. It is a sick number. You say this guy ran 4.21. It took him nearly 1 second to get, or just more than 1 second to get 10 yards at a time. This is awesome. But the 40 times, they matter so little and they're used so little in the actual game of football
Yeah.
outside of breakaway runs, which matters. But we've seen this happen before. He'll probably get drafted by the Raiders because they love to take guys that are fast but
That was
can't
gonna
do
be my
anything
next
else.
question. Yeah.
I'm not saying Xavier Worthy is not can't do anything else. I'm just saying their track record runs. We
Yeah.
get the fastest guy and we see what happens. But I'm not. It's a sick headline. It is a sick headline that means absolutely nothing.
And that was gonna be my next question. Oddly enough, where do you think he goes? And that was my first thought too, was the Raiders, because historically, again, they love speed, and I don't think that with new ownership and the new regime they have there, I don't think that's gonna change too much. I could be wrong, but if history remains the same, then maybe the Raiders. But Mel Kiper has him projected to the Chiefs at number 32 overall in the draft, and he's all
Number 32 overall.
that's that yeah that's what Mel Kiper's saying. Yeah.
Wow.
That's,
I mean, that's okay. So on the Raiders front, I say that tongue in cheek,
yeah, of course.
because the I mean, I think we do this a lot with organizations. Like we'll say, "Oh, this team hasn't beaten that team in 25 years," and it's like, yes, this is true, but it's not the same team playing for the last 25 years, or it's
Hmm.
not. You know, they'll say, "Oh, the Chiefs have beaten the Texans 7 straight times in the playoffs." Like, yes, this is accurate, but that doesn't have any implication on the next one because it doesn't matter,
Yeah,
right?
they're totally
Outside of the
different
Red
teams.
Sox Yankees, where there was that inherent rivalry, uh, those types of things don't matter. So to me, the I don't know that the Raiders are going to take him just because they've taken speed in the past. I think every team looks at that and says, "Wow, that's really impressive."
Right.
Um, 32 seems high. I mean, you look at before the draft weekend, they were saying he could go as high as fourth. Or excuse me, he could be the fourth wide receiver taken. It's just a huge leap. Um, but that that says a lot to what the
Yeah,
teams,
the team's
what to the
value.
value that teams
Yep.
see. I'm not saying obviously I'm not sitting here as a NFL GM, but I'm just saying speed is a highly valued commodity in the NFL, and I think that it's sweet to see a 4.21, but I think what you got to watch is more so how are these guys running routes? How are these guys, what is their full speed actually running routes? I can't remember the name of the guy that was running. They do the gauntlet where they're basically sprinting like the 40-yard line from sideline to sideline,
Mm-hmm.
and he was running that at 19 miles an hour while catching the football still. Like
Jeez.
that to me
Yeah.
is the impressive part beyond here's your stop and start, right? What's your game speed? But this is an incredible wide receiver class. Marvin Harrison Jr., Romo Donze. There's another number of names that I'm not going to leave in, but to just suddenly insert Xavier Worthy as the fourth best because he ran a 40-yard dash of 4.21. I'm not saying he can't be incredible. He very well may be. That is just it's a shocking um, narrative of what the NFL fandom does to players and also the intrinsic value that we've apparently put onto the 40-yard dash, which again I don't know if it carries that weight.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, one more topic before we end the show today. Let's talk similar prep, of course. Xavier Pope got the Player of the Week award after a huge week. Had 25 points against Indy, and then had a 30 piece in the last game of the week against Southeast Select. Um, now we've seen all three former Bay Area Breaker players, Royce Anderson, Xavier Pope, and Trey Hyman, all win Player of the Week awards, and that kind of got me thinking a little bit. Do you foresee any or all three of those Breaker kids formerly reuniting at the SimWorld U level at all?
Um, I could see Pope and Royce. Those two were linked pretty heavily during the
Yeah,
offseason.
they were sure.
Xavier Pope really wanted to go to AT Aliens with Royce Anderson, but then because of just the inability to bring in two high level out of market groups, AT Aliens was unable to accomplish that. So
Mm-hmm.
I could certainly see those two teaming up. I think there's been in the case of Xavier Pope. it's kind of funny. Pope is doing maybe what many people had hoped or expected of Royce Anderson, right? We finally see this guy that's got the deck cleared for him. He's the number one option and doing it at a highly efficient, highly potent value. Um, that I think is what we thought of. Oh, we're gonna get that from Royce Anderson.
Yeah.
Um, so I think what might be the bigger factor is where do these guys see themselves in pecking order, right? We saw Royce Anderson had toured out at Gonzaga. I think Trey Hyman is going to walk into any program and probably be the number one freshman on that group. He's probably going to be the guy that they want to turn the ball over to. I think Xavier Pope is showing flashes of being that guy. I don't know that any program's going to do it, so I think it comes down to does Xavier Pope, just Royce Anderson, do they still believe that they should be the number one unquestioned guy
Right.
on an offense? Which again, I think is a um, dangerous hill to start dying on. Um, because if that's the case, if they do want to be that guy, teaming up with Trey Hyman is not going to be that option. So I think it's going to take, in order for these guys to make it work, you need some semblance of, I don't want to say that they haven't had it, but humility to be able to say, look, this is who I am as a basketball player, and this is what I can be next to somebody like that. If they possess that capability, sure, I think I could see a time it could be a lined up. But if I was going to really bet on one, it would be Xavier Pope and Royce Anderson, just because we have the track record of those two players wanting to be with one another.
Yeah, I think we do see it happen. See it happen, or I would like to see it happen anyway, because they've all grown as in their own player, in their own player styles, and that sort of thing from year to year, that sort of thing. So I would like to see for that reason and the storyline alone from that. But realistically, I think you might only get two of them to play together, and the two that possibly could happen, like you said, I think are Royce and Xavier, just because of the history they had in this past summer prep off season and wanting to play together and not working out. So now you're going into the college ranks. You can say, hey, we have the ability to bring in two 5-star caliber players. Let's try and go get these kids. So yeah, well, that's gonna do it for us today. Thank you, Mark, for joining me. I appreciate your time as always. And you guys know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, notify bell, all that good stuff, so know when all of our shows, streams, and games go live for you all. Until tomorrow, guys, remember, SimWorld is the only place where you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you tomorrow.